Nigeria is reported to have about 220 million citizens, and out of this number, just 93.47 million individuals are registered voters, which is 42% of adults of the country, meaning anyone aged 18 and above. Returning to the 2023 elections, just 24.9 million individuals voted. This is just 26.72% of the total voting population, the lowest since the return of democracy in 1999. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu polled a total of 8,794,726 votes, which is less than 4% of the entire country's population, less than 10% of the voting population, and 35% of the citizens who voted. There have been a lot of mumblings from Nigerians blaming and questioning the rule of the current Nigerian president. Tinubu has a long history in Nigerian politics, serving as governor of Lagos State from 1999 to 2007 and playing a key role in the formation of the All Progressive Congress Party, APC. But many have accused him of being impotent and unfit for the role of being a president. This has made me wonder, is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu a worthy president? The president announced that the long-standing fuel subsidy would be ending on the day it was sworn in over a year ago. This had kept petrol prices low for citizens of this oil-producing nation. But it was also a huge drain on public finances. In the first half of 2023, it accounted for 15% of the budget, more than the government spent on health or education. Nigeria is currently experiencing its worst economic crisis in a generation. Real GDP growth fell to 3.3% in 2022 and keeps increasing to date, mainly due to the decline in oil production, leading to a contraction in the overall industry. The price of petrol has increased significantly, and staple food like rice has more than doubled in price. Annual inflation, which is the average rate at which prices go up, is now close to 30%, the highest figure in nearly 3 decades. The cost of food has risen even more by 35%. The federal government's failure to implement the promised reform of the nation's health sector has also created a financing gap that affects all aspects of the healthcare system, including infrastructure, workforce, medical supplies, and services, resulting in insufficient healthcare delivery nationwide. These are just a few of the slacks of the Nigerian government. Day after day, Nigerians are hurting, and the country is steadily declining into grave poverty. Hasn't it been a long time for the government to realize they ought to diversify into sectors such as agriculture, manufacturing, technology, and services that can create more sustainable economic growth and reduce dependence on oil? Or addressing corruption through institutional reforms, transparency measures, and effective law enforcement to improve governance, attract investments, and ensure that resources are used efficiently and fairly. Emphasizing the word fairly, I'm reminded of the phrase free and fair, which leads to my next question. Was the 2023 presidential election free and fair? An election is considered free and fair when all eligible citizens have the right to vote and participate in the electoral process without discrimination based on race, ethnicity, religion, gender, or socio-economic status. Every vote counts equally, and there are no barriers that prevent certain groups or individuals from exercising their rights to vote freely, amongst many other criteria. INEC is the autonomous body responsible for organizing, conducting, and overseeing all federal and state elections in Nigeria. It is tasked with voter registration, voter education, candidate registration, election monitoring, and announcing election results. It was quite a shock to me to hear that southern Nigeria recorded less than 25% voter turnout in the 2023 general election. It is worth pointing out that the South-South region, which had the highest voter turnout in the southern Nigeria in 2019, recorded the worst turnout in the 2023 election. However, there were cases of late arrival of INEC officials, thuggery, voter suppression, and violence, which could have led to low turnouts. It was also recorded that only 80% of adult Nigerians collected their permanent voters card ahead of the 2023 general election, leaving the remaining 20% deficient of their right to cast their votes, which is a suppression of their fundamental human rights as stated in the Nigerian Constitution. A Port Harcourt-based voter, Kelechi Vera, said INEC materials arrived at 2 p.m. in our polling unit, with officials leaving 2 hours later. Due to that, many people were disenfranchised for no fault of theirs. So it is difficult to assess voters' turnout based on this incident. INEC's late arrival at some units, incompetence, violence, and suppression were all responsible for the recorded low turnout, she said. A political analyst, Taiwo Adejare, noted that Nigeria's voters' turnout could have been overstated in the past, noting that technology had exposed past flaws. He stated that no matter how poorly organized the recent presidential and National Assembly election were, the truth is that tech has shown us that votes were probably inflated in several parts of the country. INEC is far behind in conducting regular and inclusive voter registration exercises to ensure all eligible citizens are registered to vote. They should invest more in educating voters on their rights and responsibilities, the voting process, and the importance of participating in an election, as well as providing adequate security measures to protect voters, candidates, election officials, and observers from intimidation, violence, or coercion. Attaining free and fair election is a continuous process that needs non-stop commitment to democratic principles, institutional integrity, public participation, and responsive governance. It involves collaboration amongst diverse stakeholders to ensure election reflects the will of the people and upholds democratic norms and values. Thank you for listening. I am Angela Uluwa Olaiwaje.